We've looked at bad VHS covers before, but there's one thing I did always want to look at after VHS covers. It's the beautiful follow-up to the VHS, the thing that took over as the mainstream home video format, and that is the good old DVD. Beautiful, lovely, I love my good old DVDs. As a kid born in the very late 90s, the DVD was a big part of my life, just as much as the VHS was. But DVDs are still something I collect to this day on the odd occasion. I'm more of a Blu-ray guy now, so I've included a few Blu-rays in here too. But I think with the Blu-ray and DVD, we sort of saw the ability to distribute really anything, and pretty cheaply as well. In general too, we got a whole lot more bootlegs. It seemed it was a lot easier because you could connect them to a computer to burn stuff to DVDs. And because of this, the DVD market was a lot cheaper to produce for, which resulted in a lot of very bad and odd covers. So with all that, and my good old rambling, today we're going to look at some bad DVD/Blu-ray covers. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you're ready for another great video. So starting off with this 15th anniversary edition of Groundhog Day, and while it's definitely not the worst on this list, it's a good one to start off with as it's very oddly designed and uses some of the worst images I've ever seen of the cast. And we got this picture of Bill Murray looking like they just took a mugshot of him, rather than taking an image of him for this silly wacky comedy. And then we have his giant hands. I know it's meant to be perspective, but because of the clock and Bill's infinite black void of a suit, it just looked like his giant Rayman hands, rather than these are the hands attached to his regular body. We also have that exact same image of Bill looking like a mugshot on the stock image clock, and it's just this exact same image face pasted onto a body that clearly is not Bill Murray's. I don't know who it is, but it's some random other stock image of a guy that they've put Bill Murray's terrified face onto. It's just an extremely odd way to advertise such a beloved movie, and people love Groundhog Day, and it has a pretty alright poster that they could just use instead, so I don't know why they felt the need to change it and give us terrified Bill Murray. The Lost World Jurassic Park Collector's Edition. Now I remember finding this in a CX back in the day and dying of laughter at just how odd and baffling the cover is. Like, I get that you want to entice the viewers with dinosaurs, but these three infrared inverted raptors taking up the case look absolutely ridiculous, and the fact that they're squished so tightly together makes it look even dumber. Like, you just know that the graphic designer would have made the whole thing raptors if they could, but sadly he was put down to just three, so it just is this weird combination of these three raptors that kind of do take up way too much space, just looking ridiculous in infrared for some reason. I mean, they even cover the movie's logo, so you can barely even tell what the movie's title is. And again, just the number one question I think everyone's asking, why infrared? Like, at no point in The Lost World do I remember the raptors ever being seen through like an infrared lens or anything like that. And even if it was, it clearly wasn't that amazing enough of a scene for me to remember it, and I've watched that movie quite a lot of times, so I don't understand why of all things would you make them infrared. I guess it's to make them stand out, but again it just looks more silly rather than anything. Guess lo and behold, the early 2000s and the love for weird holographic infrared shit. Cujo. Why does Cujo have human eyes? Please, just someone tell me why he has human eyes. Sure, over the last couple of years, people on the internet both love and fear dogs with human-like eyes, but in Cujo's case, he falls more on the straight hilarious side rather than fear or love. Like, taking this picture of a Saint Bernard with big gnashes, like, it's already pretty funny looking, because he already does just look very silly with his big teeth out. I think especially because Saint Bernards are such lovely, cuddly dogs. But then photoshopping the human eyes to him is just like the cherry on the cake of just looking absolutely insanely ridiculous. Like, like, why did anyone think that giving him human eyes would elicit more fear in people rather than just bursting out in laughter? Then on top of that, we got the fact he's just floating over the house like some angry spirit, the angry spirit of the human dog, which just looks way too silly to be taken seriously. Like, I get it, he's meant to be like, oh, his fear is lingering over the house, but instead it just looks like he's been let out of the fucking genie lamp or something, and instead you got the world's weirdest genie. Just an odd choice, and again, way too silly to be taken seriously. Very, very dumb. Real genius. I know nothing about this movie, but this cover has enticed me because of how odd it looks. We have Val Kilmer just looking completely unaware or just completely apathetic to the fact that he's being shocked by not 2 but 6 electrical currents. It doesn't even faze him that the electricity shocked him 6 times. That the electricity just made him brain dead and he doesn't notice. As well as that, there's something about the angle of this picture that just makes Val Kilmer's head look huge for some reason. And then on top of that, the background just looks like the packet of some chili flavoured crisps rather than a DVD cover. Like if you stuck the Flaming Hot Cheetos logo on this, it absolutely would not look out of place. Very, very odd cover. The worst which, I fondly remember watching some episodes of this show as a kid, but granted, for the life of me, I don't remember anything about the show now other than the title. But this DVD cover is just truly awful. Like, not only do we have the most unflattering image of the witch herself, but we also have the same stock vector image of these witches that are used in the background like 5 times. Like, they just found this one black, and a little bit of white image of an outline of a witch, and they just went to town with it. And then on top of it, the way the witch is pointing with the other witches facing forward in the background at low opacity makes it look like those wolves barking at the moon, like shirts and hoodies. So that kind of does add to the hilarity. It's also just something about these wizards floating in low opacity that, I don't know, just looks kind of funny. Like, why are they fading away? Have they become fog? Are they like Mufasa's head in the sky in The Lion King? Very low quality, but a very funny image. Little Shop of Horrors, Jack Nicholson edition. This image has got so much fucking going on, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, first we got the fact that they took the artwork for Audrey 2 from the poster for the 80s musical film, rather than the 60s version, which is what this artwork is the cover for. And then on top of that, it's cropped super badly, and you can see where the pixels are cut really harshly. And on top of that, they've tried to hide this with the sheet outer green glow, which just makes Audrey 2 look like she's radioactive. Then on top of it, they've also put a 3.5-star review on the cover, which doesn't even have a quote. I feel like if you're going to put a review on the cover, why would you put one that doesn't even say the movie's great? It's alright, it's decent. What a weird review to put on there. And then we got whatever the hell's going on with the tilted title. Why is it an angle? I don't understand. It could have just been horizontal, no one would have cared. And then to top it all off, you just have a random image of Jack Nicholson. Not a picture of him in the movie, just a random image of Jack Nicholson. It could be from one of his other movies, I have no clue. It's just a random image of him with no source. So yeah, to sum it all up, this cover is just really fucking odd. Little Shop of Horrors, German edition. We now have this, I believe, German release of Little Shop of Horrors, which goes even further than the last one, drawing Jack Nicholson as what seems to be Seymour in the lead role of the movie. Yeah, which Jack does not play in this film, so I don't know why they decided to pick this image. I should have mentioned this in the last one, but Jack Nicholson's role in Little Shop of Horrors, the 60s version, is essentially a glorified cameo. He appears in one scene in the movie as a dentist patient, and that's it. He's not in any of the rest of the movie, he never comes back. But, that hasn't stopped DVD and Blu-ray companies advertising him as the lead because, they can make a few bucks off of Jack Nicholson. And here is a perfect example of one that just straight up draws him as the main character. Again, I just can't imagine, someone watching this movie based on this cover, thinking Jack Nicholson's going to be the main guy, and watching this movie where he's just not in it, and then when he does randomly show up, they're just going to be even more confused as to why the movie advertised it like this. It's just a really odd way to advertise a movie. And I know it's not the only one. A lot of other movies have done this with famous actors that have bit parts, but I feel especially for this one, knowing that the film is in the public domain, just makes it even funnier how many of these covers are just Jack Nicholson is the main character in this movie. He's not the main character. But it does result in some very funny looking art like this one, in which we've got Jack Nicholson fighting a ferocious killer plant. Bootleg DVD of Drive. You've seen him as the Black Panther, but now we've got Ryan Gosling as the guy from Far Cry 1, I think. Even ignoring the insanity of that, we've got 2 random cops in the bottom left corner who just aren't in the movie, and I'm not sure what movie they must have come from, because clearly they've stolen this image of these 2 dudes from somewhere else. And then next to them, we've got another 2 dudes jumping away from an exploding car. Again, this does not happen in the movie. There are exploding cars, I think, in one scene in the movie, but the 2 dudes do not jump away from it, and it definitely is not these 2 dudes. And These characters and these two dudes in general are just not in the film. And then on top of it, we've got this random sniper on top of like the Far Cry Gosling and a helicopter and an island in the background. I'm assuming that's from the Far Cry art they've stolen it from. But again, I'm not entirely sure where this Far Cry 1 art comes from. Because I've had a quick look and I can't seem to find it. But at the same time, I see that red shirt and the way he's got on the gun. I definitely know that is the Far Cry 1 art. But hey, at least, you know, despite all of that, they remembered to include the Cannes Film Festival logo. Just so you remember, this did indeed win an award. I feel bad saying that. Drive's one of my favourite movies. I just had to pick this one because it's fucking insane to look at. Minimalist Apollo 13. Whoever okayed this needs to take a good long look in the mirror because clearly they've got something going on. Like, clearly they're trying to go for, like, that minimalist art style that, like, the guy who did that Blur album cover does, where, like, you know, you just try and take away a lot of the more, like, heavy features and just kind of get the general vibe of the face, but it looks absolutely atrocious here, and it does not work in this context, especially since there simultaneously seems to be too much detail in places and not enough in others. Tom Hanks seems to be the worst offender of this, looking both like a baby and a 50-year-old man that elicits some kind of fight or flight response in me, like this is some kind of demon. He reminded me of the guys from Akira, the blue dudes. Like, why does his chin and neck look like that? It's so weird. It's like slight detail but not enough. It's very odd. He kind of looks like a big ball of flesh. Kevin Bacon doesn't look much better either, to be fair, looking like a kid from like some 50s advertisement that's like stolen a bunch of sweets and looks well proud of himself. It's very funny, but like, why does he look like that? And then we got the guy on the right, who just looks like a lifeless mannequin. Worst choice for a cover of a pretty good movie. Night of the Living Dead, Big Mouth. Why is there a giant floating mouth? Why is it the only image that's in full colour? Also, that mouth isn't from the movie at all. It's not in there, so where the hell did you get this image from, and why the hell did you feel the need to put it on the front cover? On top of that, we have this garish and ugly font with an odd outer glow again. Again, it seems like a lot of these shitty covers just love the bright white outer glow for some reason. And then we have the least memorable selection of zombies on the cover. Like, I genuinely don't know if any, like, again, I'm probably wrong and these zombies are in the movie, but I genuinely don't remember seeing any of them, and I've seen this film like 20 times. And then, for some reason as well, they've put them in the green zone. Like, I don't know, they're in fucking irradiated. They're in Pripyat over here. And the way they're edited against this stock flat image of the woods makes some of them look really tiny, which I like. Like, on the right, it seems some of them look like they're just little tiny guys, and I like that. I'm just glad that because Night of the Living Dead is in the public domain, it's destined to forever have awful covers, no matter what the format is. 10 out of 10. Low Res Babe. I remember seeing this DVD in a HMV a few years ago and pissing myself. What is this? Why does he look like that? How did they do this? They've taken Babe from the poster of the movie and just decided to blow that image up like way too big. You know, you could do that if you had a high quality render of that poster, but clearly they did not, and so instead he just looks like super low quality and stuck him against this disgusting green background. Like, the colour of this green does not help too. It's so bright and I'd say eye-catching, but it's more like an eyesore. It really hurts your eyes to look at. Maybe it's to distract away from Babe himself, because like, if you literally look, you can see the pixels, especially in person. It's even funnier just seeing the pixels on a DVD cover. You know, they had a million things they could have done for this cover, and they just absolutely fucked it, and I kind of love that. The Room Blu-ray. This time, I actually owned this DVD, and had it signed by Mr. Wiseau himself, and yeah, it looks even worse in person. Like, we've got this stock photo of the Golden Gate Bridge, which is whatever, like, it's not a bad stock photo, you know, I assume Tommy Wiseau would have to get a stock photo of the Golden Gate Bridge. But what really sticks out is that the image Tommy has used of himself just looks really odd. Like, he's clearly gotten the image from the original poster and then gone back to it in Photoshop and tried to airbrush his eyes, which has made them look like he's having an allergic reaction. Like, it's not good. There's this weird smoothing on the eyelid that makes them have no definition, but his eyes themselves have clearly been like naturally stretched, giving it a very uncanny valley look. Like, it looks like something you'd make in Dark Souls as like a joke to fuck about with your mates. As well, we've also got Times New Roman font below him, which, you know, isn't great either. I mean, it's definitely not the worst thing here, but still, Times New Roman, man. Ugh. The Bad Mother's Handbook. This Australian DVD for the Bad Mother's Handbook looks like something you'd make in a college media class. Like, we've got these two hash cutouts of Catherine Tate and this lady in the corner, and like the hash cutouts just really look odd. Again, it really does just look, you got a very low res image of these two and just slapped it on there with no care or attention to detail to make it look like they fit. And then on top of that, you got this stock notebook in the background, which has these like weird bits of blue purple seeping out behind it. And then on top of that, we got jump scare Rob Pattinson up in front, like freaking Five Nights at Freddy's over here. And again, this is not the most flattering image of my guy. Like, he literally, you know, he doesn't look great. It looks like they did just, you know, he was walking onto set one day and they just flashed an image of him, you know, just took a picture of him out of nowhere. And then, on top of all that, it does look like they're all staring at me. Like, they're all looking at me like I said something stupid. And it's making me uncomfortable. Like, the vibes from this cover are just atrocious. I don't like it. Stop looking at me. I am Raph. Now, I don't know whose body that is, but that is definitely not John Travolta's body. So, I don't know why they decided to stick the head of John Travolta onto a whole different guy's body and assume that we wouldn't notice. I mean, John is a man famous for, you know, not liking it when people point out his supposed bodily flaws as the man who's been trying to convince us that he's not bald for the past 10 years. Where do I begin? I'm not trying to body shame Mr. Travolta. I do love him. He's a great actor. But the guy's body is just clearly way too young to be John Travolta's. Like, it's not convincing anybody. It just looks like the body of, like, a dude in his late 20s, maybe 30s. Also, there's just this blurry explosion in the background where I can't make anything out. It looks like one of those images where nothing in this image is a real thing. Like, it's very odd. And then on top of that, it has an Impact font tagline, which just makes it feel like a shitty meme when you combine all these things together. Chinese Matrix. Now, you have this Chinese copy of the Matrix to finish things off. Now, it isn't the worst cover. Like, sure, those aren't the best images of the main cast, and I don't know why they have this outglow that makes them look like they're in heaven. But the main focus here is the text on the box. The white man wanted a stud to breed slaves. Something I never thought I'd say on this channel, and something hopefully I'll never have to say again. What the fuck does that have to do with the Matrix? And where did it come from? It's like a tagline for clearly some fucked up movie about slavery, or from some historical book about slavery that whoever was making this DVD was also translating, and somehow the wires must have just got crossed, and now it's proudly dead center on the DVD for a sci-fi movie about a robot simulation apocalypse. What the fuck happened here is all I can ask. How did you go and accidentally stick this on the box for the fucking Matrix? Like, it's the fact as well, with the text being where it is, it's like the cast of the Matrix are telling me this information. Like, Morpheus, Neo, and Trinity pulled up just to tell me this, and I'm like, yes, that is a thing that happened in history. It's very horrible, very awful, but that is a thing that did happen. Well, what does this have to do with the Sentinels and Zion? It's very, very fucking weird, and a very, very great way to end this video. So, Chinese translators, thank you for all doing God's work, and, putting in random English text that makes no sense. You guys are the best. And with that, today's video comes to a close. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it was fun again looking at more bad covers. I really have gotten a knack and a love for doing these kind of videos, so I wouldn't mind doing some more. Obviously we did book covers, so hey, maybe I'll go for part 2, I don't know. Again, you guys seem to like them, so I'm down for it. If you like the video, remember to leave a like. And if you want to see more videos like this one, remember to hit the subscribe button, because I upload weekly, so you're never far from a new video of mine. And on top of that, remember to hit the bell notification, so you get an update every time I upload a new video. And yeah, remember for some of you guys to check if you subscribe, because I had a couple of you comment in the last video saying that apparently YouTube's unsubscribing you. This doesn't surprise me, YouTube is a mess as it is. And with that guys, have a great weekend, and Comfy Pongo out.